Steve, what is the latest then in terms of Beijing's reaction to these U.S. tariffs?
Yeah, we've been out reporting all morning before dawn, essentially expecting some sort of countermeasures as MOFCOM, the Ministry of Commerce here in China, just as the business day got started about 9 o'clock, vowed retaliatory measures. And sure enough, within the last hour or so, we've gotten those measures. And as Avril just said, you know, the market is reading it a little bit more muted. Keep in mind, you know, the United States buys more than 3 times more products from China than China buys from the United States. So there's not going to be necessarily like-for-like tariffs, but they have added extra tariffs of up to 15% on a number of U.S. goods, notably a lot of key crops. So we're talking soybeans, sorghum, and corn as 3 major crops where there will be a 10% tariff added as of March 10th. Also beef, chicken, cotton, fruits facing 10% tariffs as well from the United States into China. So there's also these entity lists, this unreliable entities list they've used, adding American companies. We've seen another 10 U.S. firms added to that unreliable entity list. Mostly defense-related U.S. companies. And again, MOFCOM citing arms sales to Taiwan as a major reason. They've also added an additional 15 companies, again, mostly defense-related companies, to the export control list of China. Interestingly, though, Tom, one tool that China has often used are export controls of rare earths and critical minerals, like they did after that first batch, or first salvo of tariffs of 10% that we got in the beginning of February. They limited export of tungsten-based minerals. Also in December, we saw gallium, germanium, and other key minerals restricted further in the sale to the United States. This time, as far as we can see from the readouts, it doesn't appear that they're using that lever right now. But of course, that does not mean they won't in the future.
OK, Steve, you're outside the Great Hall of the People, of course. You're standing in Tiananmen Square. You're there for the National People's Congress as you continue to gauge China's reaction, of course, to these tariffs. What are you watching for in the days ahead, and to what extent the trade threat from the US is going to be casting a shadow over what transpires in Beijing in the days ahead?
Yeah, I don't expect the leaders that gather here for the NPC, which begins tomorrow, and also the CPPCC, which is the advisory body, the much larger advisory body to the NPC, which are gathering this afternoon. That's why everyone is here. They're about to go up to the into the Great Hall of the People behind me. I don't expect them to necessarily come out and talk directly about the U.S. Threat and the U.S. Tariffs, other than to say that their external environment has become much more challenging. MOFCOM took the lead as far as the direct accusations and the moves of retaliatory and countermeasures taken. But obviously, this is an economy here that is struggling to gain footing at a time when the real main pillar of growth has come from exports. Those are going to be under threat if a key export destination like the United States is now going to be levying 20% tariffs, with a threat that possibly could go up to 60, as Donald Trump promised on the campaign trail. So exports are going to be a little bit weak. They need to drive domestic consumption. There needs to be end markets, viable markets for the products that have been, described as industrial overcapacity here. Where do they go? Well, they need to go into the local market. You're going to see a lot of policies trying to stimulate domestic demand. That means raising the budget deficit target much higher than 3%, which it is now, to possibly 3.8%, upwards of 4% possibly. That would be the highest in 3 decades. So they're going to stimulate. The markets have been waiting, Tom. You know that. Every meeting that we've had over the last several months, whether it was the 3rd plenum, whether it was the Central Economic Work Conference, the markets didn't get the kind of fiscal stimulus. Show me the money. They didn't get it. We're going to probably get it tomorrow in Premier Li Qiang's work report at 9 a.m. here in the building behind me, the Great Hall of the People.